Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be trying something a little different by doing the life of Sinu from Lookism. If you enjoy the video, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. And yeah, let's get started. Sinu is the promised boy and the man who took over Big Deal at a very young age. He is part of the main cast of Lookism, and he first appears in the Jake Kim arc. Sinu is a very cool character, in my opinion at least. I mean, his idea of romanticism is insane and quite funny to watch actually. He also appears in the Workers' Second Affiliate arc and the Hunt for Big Deal arc. In all these arcs, he's an enjoyable character to read and look at. His relationship with other characters like Jake and Samuel is really interesting. And his jump from sadness to happiness to sadness to happiness is a real roller coaster of emotions. Sinu is also very underrated in my opinion. He's normally overlooked by characters like Jake, Daniel, Samuel, because he doesn't get a lot of time, and I think he should be shown it a lot more often. However, that does not mean Sinu is weak at all. As I was saying before, Sinu goes through major developments throughout the story, mentally and with his combat abilities especially. He starts off, well, as a mysterious person, as most people do, and he literally saved Jake for no reason. Well, for the reason of, maybe as we later find out, Jake has potential, he sees himself in Jake, but at this point, you really just see that he saves him for no reason. And from this point, he evolves into a beast who can strike people with such speed and prowess that his attacks are invisible to the human eye, which is just incredible to think about. Like, imagine if you attacked so fast or got attacked so fast you couldn't even see their attack coming. It was just invisible. Like, that power is just insane, and as I was saying before, incredibly underrated. There's a bit of a backstory here. He took over Big Deal at a young age because he wanted to change the way it worked. He also did this because he promised his crush, a young Yeonhui, and her friends that he would change the way Big Deal works. And he wanted to protect the street because I remember reading that it got like attacked by the two gangs and raided every single day, and he wanted to change this works and protect it. And here he earned his title of the Promised Boy. He eventually achieves his goal and takes over Big Deal through his hard work and determination and unwillingness to give up even when he's on his knees, which is another reason why I really like Sinu as a character, because he never gives up. Like other characters, especially the antagonists, they would just give up. Sinu, he always gets back to his feet no matter how hard he's hit. That is so cool. So cool to me at least, and that is why he's top 5. Top 5, man. He first appears in chapter 305 in the Jake Kim arc, as I said before, where he's seen with Yeonhui looking down on men he has just stopped from trying to destroy the street and what he loves. He protected it and what he loves again, which is another reason why he's cool, because he sticks to his ideals. That is something we do not see that often in Lookism, only properly through him and Vasco, which is just incredible to see and makes him a really, really enjoyable person to read about and really someone that everyone wants to root for. I don't know anyone who doesn't want Sinu to do well. Sinu eventually meets a young Jake Kim and asks him to join Big Deal, as he just took a liking to him, two, I think he saw himself in him and he saw potential in him as a new leader or the next leader of Big Deal, someone with the same moral values as him. Jake rejects this offer because he hates gangsters, because he hated his dad because he was a gangster. I'll do that in the Jake Kim video, which will come soon, so I won't go into too much detail. But yeah, Jake rejects his offer. Later on, not by coincidence, but he saves Jake, Jerry and Samuel from getting drowned by the Black Bear Gang. Can we get a rest in peace for the Black Bear Gang, if you know what happens? They don't have a very good ending, do they? In fact, I like the Black Bear Gang. I mean, I really think that they should have been expanded on. I hope they get like their own special spin-off. That'd be really, really cool, because they were interesting. Some of the characters were interesting, at least. Other ones were just fodder, and I don't even remember ones. The boss and the second in command, cool. The rest of them, after saving them, which I mean, that should be enough to make them join, but he offers Jake to join them Big Deal again. His Big Deal. Jake rejects him again, saying he detests gangsters. But Sinu, shortly after, shows Jake the qualities of himself and the qualities of Big Deal, which makes him change his mind. I mean, look at Jake, bro. I mean, he wasn't a brat at this point, but he didn't see Sinu, man. And as soon as anyone sees Sinu, you can't stop loving him. And I'm included in that boat. Jake eventually decides to join him, and that begins the peak of his life and his career and the peak of Big Deal in general. However, dun dun dun, Gun and Goo come knocking to Big Deal's door because they want him to join their big 4 major crews. Sinu hates this idea because he sees it as pulling Big Deal away from what he wants it to be and pulling it away from its strong moral compass. He rejects them, but everybody knows Gun and Goo, mate, they're too strong. They don't take no for an answer. So eventually, they submit. But believe me, this did not come. They did not just say, oh yeah, we're just going to give it to you. No. Sinu fought Goo. He nearly beat Goo. Goo Kim. And Goo Kim, I mean, he's a monster. So for a normal person to nearly beat Goo, I mean, that is insane. But eventually he loses. And Big Deal's era, its peak, is finished. Shortly after this, Sinu tries to sell Big Deal so he can, well, at this point we all think, oh yeah, Sinu's just turned into someone. I mean, he got beat, so he's turned into someone that he just wasn't before. But no, this was all a ruse. Instead of selling Big Deal, Sinu decides to sell himself. And he sells himself for money to keep Big Deal alive. As I said before, even at his worst, he is still protecting Big Deal and Big Deal Street by giving them enough money to pay off their monthly, well, not really an interest rate, but like joining fee or fee for the 4 major crews. It's at this point where Sinu vanishes from thin air, not knowing where he's gone. No one knows, everyone wondering, where in the world is Sinu Han? Sinu's Han's paradise had vanished from him in an instant, as now he was the slave of the elite, as he had been taken into an underground fighting arena owned by the workers, where he had to fight tirelessly, in constant fatigue, with other unlucky souls. It was here that Sinu caught the eye of Mitsuki, a Japanese girl who was trying to make it big in the world. It was this specific encounter that would lead Sinu Han to another hell. Mitsuki saved in quotation marks, Sinu from that hell and brought him to a new hell, Casino Lucky. It was here that Sinu slowly lost himself as a person. His personality was ripped from him as he was brainwashed into a new person, trapping his old self and ideals into a seemingly permanent prison, as he was now an executive of Casino Lucky, the second affiliate of workers. The only benefit that came with this was he learned his invisible attacks, which, I mean, it's not worth living your life as a slave, but it's a pretty nice thing to have. I mean, I still won't do it. I mean, I'm too weak. But that's a pretty nice benefit. Long after this, during the second affiliate destruction arc, where Daniel infiltrates and plays the games of the second affiliate, Sinu is saved by Jake in an ultimate and emotional showdown with Jake and his Big Deal, where through beating them and through painful and torturous memory regaining, he remembers himself, his paradise and his love. After this, it is thought that Sinu got his happy ending. However, this will not last for long. However, again, this paradise, his paradise, was short-lived, as weeks later he returns to Big Deal Street to protect a destroyed Big Deal from the workers, protecting his ideals, Big Deal, and his friends yet again. Sinu single-handedly holds off tons and tons of workers with his invisible attacks long enough. And this is a very long time. Like, imagine battling for hours and hours and hours, tirelessly waiting for help to come. But the only thing keeping you going is being there, the only person, and knowing you're the only person who can protect what you love. That shows that he is top quality, and a top quality man. He eventually saves enough time for Daniel, Zack and Vasco to come and help after their training, eventually balancing the sides and keeping Big Deal Street safe and still being owned by the Big Deal. Sinu after this returns to Yeonhui and is continuing to live out his paradise with her. Real quick outro. I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you next time. Peace.